We learned English and French. My parents speak a little bit of Russian. My grandmother spoke a little bit of Russian. Vagă, te rog, mă, îmi trebuie niște olint de la farmacie.
Nu mai e geamă, nu decât să...
Am, dar nu e altceva și nu-mi desfundă nasul. Olint vreau. Sau xilometazolină, de orice fel. Da, mersi. But you know my cinematographer?
Yeah, Alec Mutu, I know him.
He speaks Russian fluently, and now he works much more in the Russian space, and I think this is where his career is going to develop.
Yeah, I think he became very famous after 4 weeks.
He became famous, and he started working. He's working now a film in Georgia. He works with Sergei Loznitsa, with Mindadze, and so he's.
Okay, well, I know that the film is based on a true story, which became famous and much publicized. Why did it attract you so much that you wanted to make a film version of it, to recreate it?
Actually, I'm not recreating precisely the true story. I just was inspired by the true story and by the way it reached me through the books of this lady that documented it, because the real true story from the beginning was very sensational. This happened in 2005, and I waited very many years before I found a way to make the film. But what really challenged me in making this film was to check 7 years later on the internet and to discover that the story completely polarized people. There were no balanced opinion about what happened. And all of a sudden it started talking to me about some really important moral values in the contemporary society that polarized people a lot. For everybody listening to the story, this priest was representing religion with all the bad things, and people were either completely against him or for him, and all the churchgoers and believers keep on advocating, you know, the important values of religion, saying, okay, so why was the reaction of all the social institutions any better than what this guy did? They didn't do anything. So the most important question was, so what is best? Not to do anything and then you're not wrong, but this is the society today, to be indifferent to the other, to let people die like this in accidents like this, or to do something taking the risk of being wrong. And I thought this is a conflict that I need to speak about.
Well, the story is set in this clerical environment of Christian Orthodox Church. How strong are positions of the church in the society? How influential it is in Romania?
Well, the Orthodox Church is very influential. It's widespread. It's popular. I think that on polls, 90%, some 90% of the Romanians declare themselves to be not only Orthodox but practicants. So the religion is quite strong. And it became very much widespread in these 20 years after the fall of communism. I think that there are some statistics telling us that some 4,000 new churches were built, and I think we have some, I don't know, 20,000 churches already in a 20 million inhabitants country. So it's quite widespread. But what's important for me to speak about is that this widespreading of the church is not very much visible in the important moral fiber of the Romanian people. It's widespread and everybody understood the habits and people go to church and light candles, but I'm not sure that they really understood the profound values that religion needs to give to them. And this is where I think the church should focus. Not on the surface, not on the things of respecting, you know, all the habits that the Orthodox Church would encourage people to respect, but to go profoundly and to try and help people to cure after all the period of communism.
Well, talked to some friends and we discussed about the film. But it's, for me, it's more a story about love than a story about religion. Would you agree with that?
Of course. This is when I decided to make the film. I was asking myself, why wouldn't this girl that was coming back, why wouldn't she leave the next day after she saw what was happening? And the only answer that I could find is that it's a matter of love. It's a matter of love for the other, and this gave me this idea. This is a way of tackling the story without being sensational, keeping all the religious and the social layers behind, and speaking about the feelings of these two girls, because there is something about Christian love and about the love for the other One of the girls, the girl who is religious, is told all the time that in order to be loved by God, you have to give up everything else, including love for the others. So it was a challenge for me to imagine if Alina, the girl that comes back from Germany, is religious or not, because she acts in this spirit of the moral Christian religion.
The love story between these two girls is what is often called non-traditional love affair. And in modern society, I mean, it's okay, it's basically accepted. But according to the religious norms, at least in the Orthodox countries like Romania and Russia, it's forbidden. So do you think these two views on this kind of love affairs can coincide and then find a compromise in the society?
First of all, I think that there's a lot of affection between these two girls, the characters in the film. I wouldn't say they are having any kind of physical relationship whatsoever. So it's the affection that I want to speak about, and it's a common biography in a very violent environment that they were raised in. But I think that all the important questions like this that you ask are to be asked and discussed openly. I don't think that today's in the 21st century there are themes or important moral issues that are not to be discussed. And this is where I think films can help people a lot in helping them asking questions about their own faith and about their own convictions without having preconceived ideas.
Well, if you look at your films, or let's say the films of, let's say, Cristian Mungiu, Romania seems like a very sad place. Actually, I was in Romania a few months before Ceausescu was ousted. I hitchhiked through Romania, and it looked to me even more depressing and repressed than Soviet Union. So, what do you think made Romanian version of socialism so repressing, and post-socialism also didn't become a paradise people hoped for?
You know that in Romania they were experiencing a kind of psychical torture that was not experienced anywhere in the former communist countries. I don't know why, but in the 50s we had something that was called the Pitești experiment, when they are trying to settle down the minds of people and make people that were arrested for political reasons become torturers of some other people. This was in the 50s, and it clearly marked a very profound way in which the system affected the moral fiber of the most important minds and heads arrested in the times of communism. I can't tell you why. I can't tell you the oppression was so bad, but I can tell you that because of this repression and because of the level that we were in 1989, this is why today we are not further away than we are. It's not about financial or issues, or it's not about a matter of poverty. It's about losing some important values during the communist times for which we need some time, and this is where I think finally that religion might help. I think the state, through a very solid laic education and religion, should try and overpass this period by a common effort.
And still, in this very, as we just discussed, depressing place, a beautiful wave of cinema was born. How come?
Well, you know, cinema needs stories. This is, you know, not accidentally you won't see very tormented stories coming from Switzerland or from Norway, because these don't get too well together. If you come from a place where people still have issues to discover and things to talk about, you will have stories to talk about, and this is why I think our cinema is so vivid lately.
Thank you very much. Can just take a
Thank you. Sure, sure, please.
Yeah.
Oops.
So, tell me about your characters, because they both, I mean, in the film, they meet again after some years in the monastery, and each of them can't live. So, what are the reasons? And for very different reasons. So, what are the reasons of your characters? Why couldn't they live?
Oh, so the story starts before the movie starts. So it's very important what happens before the movie and where their relationship started. They grew up together, they depended on each other, and my character really needed someone to rely on, always. She cannot live by herself, she cannot make a choice by herself, and she always needed someone beside her. And after Alina leaves for Germany, she's going through a very difficult process, so she needs to find someone else to rely on. And she finds the monastery and the Pope and the nuns. And this is a bit complicated for Alina when she comes back.
And for you, and for your character, she could live when they started to really torture her.
She wanted to live. I think this is her most powerful wish, you know. She had a thirst for living, very, very strong, but she wasn't allowed to. She wasn't allowed to live the way she wanted and with the person she wanted. So she's just entering a world she doesn't understand. She sees Wojciech changed. She actually, after you meet somebody, you know, after a few years when you meet somebody, that person can be different from what you remember. So she comes back and she finds somebody else, and she doesn't know what to do with this information. She doesn't know what to do with this new person who has somebody else in her. What to do?
Yeah, especially it's very hard when there's somebody else is God, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh yes, it's very hard to compete with God.
So, well, can it be also so that religion and love, or like really passionate religion, passionate love, don't mix well?
The passion is always tricky. Even if we speak about passion of love or passion of religion, the passion makes people act strange, makes people misunderstand what the other ones are saying or the decisions of the other ones. So this is the problem, I think, of the movie. The main conflict is the passion, and the way people cannot handle passion in some moments, and they just have to follow different paths. So
behind passion there is always something more. There is a lot of fear of loneliness, a lot of frustrations and things that you're trying to hide. So you kind of cling on somebody, you know? Sometimes behind passion, actually, it's not that much love, but this fear, you know? So this makes you go crazy, because if you don't have that person next to you anymore, you will have to face all the fears inside of you. You'll have to be brave to, you know, to admit that you're not that strong. So it's better to fight for that person, to be with that person, to become passionate about it, so that you can just, you know, continue have this image of yourself, of this strength that you have. So I don't know, passion is quite relative, you know, sometimes. Not always, but sometimes, in this case, I think.
Well, the film is set in an extremely religious environment. So how important, how influential is Christian Orthodox religion in Romanian society, and especially among the Romanian youth, in your lives and in the lives of your friends?
Yeah, it is very important. Orthodox Church in Romania is very important. It has a lot of influence. Most of the people in Romania are Orthodox, so they are influenced by the church and by the ideas of this church. But I don't know how many of us are really believers, you know, because sometimes you get to do dogmatic and formal things in church. You go to church, you do all the rituals, but you go out and then you start to, I don't know, to shout, to talk bad, to, you know, to do all the things that you're not supposed to do as a good Christian. So it's this, you know, being a real believer in being a religious person. I don't know, maybe they're two different things. If they combine each other, it's perfect. Yeah.
Yes, but this Orthodox religion is not that strict in Romania. So,
Not like in the movie.
no. It's actually, yes, if you speak about the monastery, of course it's strict. But I'm referring to the outside, to the people that they have to make a choice what means religion for them. It's not something that the church tells you to do and you have to do it like this. You have to make a choice for yourself. And I think this is what's the movie about. To reconsider your choices and to see if they are right for you.
Well, I know that the film was, very long. It took a long time to shoot and in very extreme weather conditions. So, was it hard to work on this film? Tell me about your experience of working.
It was hard, but it was also very, very beautiful. Working with Cristian and with all the people on the set, it was extremely beautiful. So, personally, I realized that I'm exhausted at the end of the film because somehow I found energy to start all over again every morning, even though the weather was this way, even though, the emotional complexity of the character was huge. So, at the end of the movie, you start to feel all sorts of things that you didn't feel during the shooting.
Did Cristian shoot it in chronological order?
Yeah.
Yes. This was
was
very helpful
very
for the character and for the line of the character and for this, Yeah.
Everybody from my school, from my university, prepared me for the cinema. That you have to be prepared because they shoot not chronological. But when my first movie was so chronological, and it was very helpful for me.
I also read it was like -15 and they were freezing.
-20 sometimes,
Really?
yes. Big snow, 6 pairs of clothes.
It's hard to concentrate on the accent when you're freezing to death.
Yes, but when you have someone with a blanket beside after stop, it's okay.
How do you think this film would be received in Romania by the society?
I don't know, but I think, and I really believe it's a film that you have to watch open-minded. You just have to leave all your prejudices home, all the taboo issues, home, and just open heart and open mind and see the real story there.
And you have to see it truthfully. You have to see the truth beyond the story. If you're ready to do that and you are free to do that, I don't think it will be a problem.
Well, for me, it's very important that it's a love story in the middle of the film. And it's never like really spoken clearly, but I imagine the girls used to be lovers.
Yes.
She left. So how much taboo is this kind of love affairs in Romania? What is the level of tolerance in Romania towards kind of untraditional love?
I don't think there is a very high level of tolerance, as far as I know. But for me, it's more than this. It's more it's more than the love between two girls. I don't know. It's not the issue here.
Because they don't have anybody else.
When you don't have family, when you don't have anybody, you just try to cling on somebody, and Voichița embodies all the roles that Alina didn't have in her life. So it's not only about the love between two girls, it's about a sense of safety. You need to love. She needs to love in her the mother she didn't have, the father she didn't have, the friends, everything that she misses in her life.
I agree.
Thank you.
Let me just take a picture.